pt3.
What is up, my crafties, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're reading chapter 4 of The View from Here by Not So Innocent Bystander. Enjoy! So, where should I put all these? Sorry if I went overboard. Dessert is just what I love to do, Pat announced as they walked toward the house. Logan heard them approaching and tried to steady his heart rate. Oh, we can put them on some plates so we can snack on them easier, Roman cheerily answered. The three of them walked in, each holding a couple of plastic containers with handles. Roman led the way, followed by Virgil, and finally Patton. Logan tried to barely look as he watched the giant enter his home, hardly ducking low enough to avoid hitting his head on the doorframe. Virgil and Roman had made it to the table to put their containers down, and then Virgil went back and grabbed the ones that Patton still held. Patton had paused when he entered, noticing Logan on the couch. The two bespectacled men paused as they looked at each other. Logan standing up to greet the newcomer. Virgil and Roman were leaning on the table, watching their brothers stand awkwardly. The couple shared an eyebrow-raised glance before turning back to look at them. Hello, I'm Logan. It's a pleasure to meet you. Logan finally broke the silence and held out his hand. Oh, hi, I'm Patton. Bring it on in. Patton grabbed Logan's outstretched hand and gently pulled him into the first hug of the day that didn't crack anyone's back or lift them off the ground. This is so pure, Virgil leaned and whispered into Roman's ear. Roman nodded vigorously, then whispered back. I knew Lo would be into Pat as soon as I saw him. He has a weakness for height, I've noticed. Well, Pat has that to spare. He's into cute, apparently. The two whispered back and forth for a moment and looked up to see them separating. They quickly went back to just leaning on the table. Hey, Pat, what is all this? Virgil called, ending the awkward staring match. Oh, I'll give you the tour, Patton called, walking over to the table with Logan at his heels. Patton began pointing to all the different desserts. There were cupcakes, brownies, different types of cookies, fudges, and tarts. And last, but certainly not least, Patton pulled the lid off the last and largest container. While all of the others had several different things inside, this one was piled high with neat, perfect squares. My personal favorite, salted caramel. Mine too, Logan said quietly, eyeing the mountain of the caramel. Really? Patton's voice was weirdly hopeful. I like the way the salt interacts with the sweet. It's a more complex taste. Oh? Are you a salty sweet kind of guy? I had this awesome cookie recipe. I'll have to make it next time. They are spectacular. Well, at least that's what I'm told. Patton suddenly became shy. I do not doubt it. I look forward to trying them. Logan smiled, a rare, big, and genuine smile. He reached forward and popped a caramel into his mouth. He just about melted right there. Oh, my word, this is superb. I'm so glad you like it. I've been perfecting my caramel recipe for years. But I'm the only one who seems to like it, so it's just what I like. Patton blushed. Well, I'd be more than willing to assist you with that endeavor, Logan responded, also blushing. Look, I'm sorry I don't like caramel, okay? Virgil laughed, once again pulling Patton and Logan out of their enamored staring match. It's all right, kiddo. I brought your favorites. Patton turned to his brother and ruffled his hair a bit. He pulled the lid off another container and found a whole pile of peanut butter cookies with purple chocolate chips. Patton's eyes went wide and he slammed the lid back down. You two don't have any allergies, right? Logan and Rowan both shook their heads no, and Patton sighed in relief, revealing the peanut butter chocolate cookies once again. Where did you get purple chocolate chips? Roman asked, grabbing one. It was surprisingly soft and not hard like most peanut butter cookies. Virgil mumbled through the cookie he jammed into his whole mouth. What? Roman laughed. He had never seen Virgil do anything so unbecoming. It was adorable. Kiddo, don't talk with your mouth full. But to translate, yes, I do make them myself. Virgil's favorite color is purple, and I like to personalize things when I can. He smiled wide after scolding his brother. Virgil didn't seem to care. He responded only by taking another cookie. I would have made special treats for everyone if I knew what you liked, and also your favorite colors. I like red, and Logan is a navy blue kind of guy. Roman turned to Logan to find he had uncharacteristically tossed another 2 caramels in his mouth. Great, I'll remember that. Anyway, games? Logan swallowed hard, tearing his eyes away from Patton and the delicious caramels to look over at the board games he piled up. Ooh, I know what to play! Roman jumped up and ran to look over at the games pile. Buried under most of the other things, he found a bright blue box. Logan groaned. How did I know you'd select Dice-capades? Logan placed his hand on his forehead. What's that one like? Patton asked happily. Oh, it's so fun! It has 3 kinds of cards: action, thinking, and trivia. You roll a dice to determine what card you draw. It's super fun! Rowan placed the game down on the table, and the 2 smalls read the box. Dice-capades. Challenge your brain, body, and creativity with tons of dice. Huh. Seems like it has something for everybody. Virgil shrugged, already somewhere between his 5th and 6th cookie. Sounds fun, Patton smiled. Roman pulled the lid off the box and opened it up. Well, everyone, feel free to make yourselves comfortable. Logan gestured to the square dining table. Virgil and Patton shared a glance at the table and then at each other. Do you mind if we... Virgil gestured to the chair and did a spinning motion with his hand. Whatever you need to do to feel comfortable, Logan assured. Virgil and Patton both grabbed a chair and spun it around so the back was pressed up against the table. They sat with the chest against the back, and this allowed them to hang their legs down and out to the side a bit. Logan and Roman slowly realized that there was no other way for them to fit their legs under the table, with the exception of kneeling on the floor. I'm sorry, I didn't realize, Logan began, but Virgil and Patton just chuckled. Don't worry about it, Logan. No one can really prepare for us. Virgil smiled as he crossed his arms over the back of the chair. Now let's play! Roman and Logan were staring at the 2 of them, still looking enormous even now that they were sitting. I'm sorry, I just have to... Roman walked over next to the now sitting Patton and stood next to him. You are almost taller than me. Even when sitting down, How tall are you? Roman was in shock. Patton just laughed his hearty bear laugh. Logan was glad no one was looking at him as he melted once more at the sound. He's like 7 foot, 12 foot, 97. Virgil laughed, grabbing yet another cookie. Patton rolled his eyes. It's no problem, Roman. I'm about 6'10" and a half-ish. It gets harder to measure once you're above average. Roman and Logan were in awe. That's almost 2 feet taller than me. You are the biggest person I know, Roman stated, eyes wide. I'm the biggest person that most people know, he laughed, and the others laughed along with him. His laugh was just infectious. Roman moved back to his seat across from his brother and between the 2 giants. He pulled the box lid off and grabbed the rules. So, let's start with Patton. He handed Pat a dice with 3 colors on it. Patton rolled it gently on the table and it landed on blue. Roman handed him an action card. Okay, it says, roll the brown dice and win that many thumb wrestling matches. He picked up a die and rolled a 3. He smirked slightly and offers his large hand to Virgil. Virgil's hands were nearly as large as Pat's, but while the emo had long, thin fingers, his brother's essentially had paws. It was over in no time. He basically engulfed Roman's hand and won instantly. His fingers long enough to just press his thumb down without Roman even bending his. He and Logan hesitated, but as their hands connected, Roman and Virgil couldn't help but share a knowing glance. Roman faked a cough, bringing Lo and Pat back to reality, and Pat instantly won again. I did it! He smiled. You can keep that card as a point. First person to 6 wins. Roman smiled and grabbed the dice, rolling a blue as well. Roll a yellow dice and do that many push-ups. Ha! Easy. He grabbed a 20-sided yellow die and he rolled an 8. He popped down on the floor and did 8 push-ups, one-handed because he was showing off, and earned his point. Virgil was next. He rolled a yellow. Roll a black die and name a song or band that contains that number. He rolled a 4. Easy, the 4 horsemen by the Clash. He smiled and took his point. Logan's turn. He grabbed the dice and rolled a red. Yes! Trivia. Logan smirked. Roman grabbed the red card so Logan could see the answers. Okay, so the trivia ones anyone can answer, but house rules that Logan has to wait at least 3 seconds to give the others a chance. He always wants the trivia ones. Roman rolled his eyes and rolled the colored die to choose the trivia question to read. Okay, multiple choice. Which lieutenant colonel commanded the 7th Cavalry, who were glorified in the movie They Died with Their Boots On? Willie. Roman read but was cut off. Custer, came Patton, surprising all 3 of the others. Correct! Roman passed the card to Patton. Roman snuck a glance at Logan, who completely enamored all over again. Probably for the 5th time that afternoon by Patton. Although this time it had nothing to do with his looks or his laugh. How did you know that, Pat? Virgil asked. Patton shrugged his enormous shoulders. I just listen to a lot of people. You learn a lot when you're a good listener. He smiled, rolling the dice for his next turn. The game continued for several rounds, Roman lifting the house rules so Logan could compete with the surprisingly knowledgeable Patton. The cards had them do things like Pictionary, which Roman excelled at, as well as having them run in and out of many rooms in a limited amount of time and having to stack different sized dice without them falling over. It came down to Patton's turn, and everyone was tied with 5 cards apiece. Next point had the victory. Patton rolled and got another blue card. Flipping it over, he read the final card. Anyone with a tattoo gets 1 point. They all paused and looked at each other. No one moved for a moment. Then both Virgil and Patton reached forward and grabbed a card. You guys have tattoos? Roman asked, curious. Yep, we both have them. Patton smiled. Virgil just nodded with a light blush dusting his cheeks. Can I see? Roman asked. Virgil's cheeks darkened slightly. Wanna show him, Virg? No pressure. Sure. The 2 tall brothers stood. Virgil took off his hoodie and Patton removed his cardigan. They looked at each other for a moment before they turned their backs on the 2 others and swiftly pulled their shirts off. They had tattoos that mostly matched. On Patton's right shoulder blade, he had a gorgeous white wing, which spread down to his arm. It was more nautically correct than any wing tattoo Logan or Roman had seen, which usually had a wing stuck on someone's back. The image was mirrored on Virgil's left side, but his was an inky black raven's wing. Near where the wings were attached, on their backs, there were words. Logan and Roman approached them to read what was written. On Patton's back it said, "We will always have each other," and Virgil's read, "Even when everything else is gone." Whoa, these are gorgeous. Roman smiled, touching Virgil's back as though he was going to feel the real feathers growing there. Roman then began looking over Virgil's back. He was so thin. Not frighteningly so, but still. Upon closer inspection, he could see thin stretch marks lining on his back and ribs. He had a couple light ones on his thin hips, and then it disappeared under his jeans. He is so thin that his pants hung almost dangerously low. Roman couldn't help but bite his lip. The detail is simply immaculate, Logan agreed, gently touching Patton without thinking, and he felt himself glow red all the way up to his ears, but Logan couldn't tear his eyes away from Patton's broad back. He also had several stretch marks, and they're noticeably deeper than Virgil's. You didn't get that tall without your skin having something to show for it. He had them all on his lower back and up and down his sides, as well as several across his shoulders. Logan tentatively ran a hand across one, finding the beauty in his imperfect skin. The 2 taller men slowly turned around, their cheeks pink. Roman and Logan still were staring at them, noticing the differences in their bodies. Virgil's skin was so soft and pale, highlighting his lightly protruding hip and collarbones. His legs were long and thin. It was like skinny jeans were designed for his body. In contrast, Patton's skin was warm and pink, his body so broad, his shoulders were so wide, and his stomach showed just a little bit of tone. He had strong arms and wide hips that sat on thick thighs. The 4 of them stood there silently for a moment before Rowan finally smirked and reached forward to poke Virgil's stomach. Virgil was taken aback for a moment, and suddenly all eyes were on Roman. How in the world are you this thin? You've eaten like 37 cookies in the last 45 minutes. Roman laughed and jerked his thumb toward Patton. But the pastry chef is a brother that makes you favorites, no less. A smile spread across Virgil's face as he shrugged and laughed. Right? I've been trying to put some weight on this skeleton for years. Patton patted Virgil hard on the back of the shoulder as the two awkwardly put their shirts back on. The four laughed and moved back to the table, cleaning up the game as Virgil and Patton had tied for the victory. They played another couple games, including some strategy ones that had Logan completely falling for Patton over and over again. He never expected this adorable giant to be as intelligent and as strategic as he proved to be. They eventually played a few in teams, and no team won as intensely as the team of Patton and Logan. Patton had an intuition of what Logan would need him to accomplish, even in games where they weren't allowed to speak to strategize. That surprised everyone. He, of course, just shrugged it off and said it had something to do with working in the kitchen for so long. Far too soon for their liking, it was getting late, and they needed to start heading home. Patton gathered up his mostly empty dessert containers and then turned to everyone. I had such a fun day. It's too bad it's over, he trailed off sadly, but perked up a moment later. Oh, I know. Do you guys want to come over to my place tomorrow? We can swim and have a barbecue. I am free tomorrow, Logan piped up, instantly turning pink at his immediate response. I can barbecue, Virgil and Roman both said in unison. They looked at each other with a hint of competitiveness glinting in their eyes. Great, I'll text you guys my address. Don't forget your swimsuits, and lots of sunscreen for you, kiddo. He laughed and lightly jabbed Virgil with his elbow. He then shyly turned to Logan. If it's okay, can I get your phone number, to text you my address? Patton held out his phone to Logan. Of course. Affirmative. That would be an intelligent course of action. Logan gently took the phone and added his phone number into it. They were once again trapped in their staring match when Roman snagged the phone from Logan. And here's mine. Don't forget me, you big old teddy bear. Roman smiled and handed the phone back to Patton. Thanks. I'll text you both when I get home, so you have my number. Thanks for having us over today. Patton smiled and began taking his containers out to the car. Virgil turned and looked at Logan. It was great meeting you. I'm sure I'll see you around. Often. He smirked and followed after his brother. Logan's face was red as a beet. Told you he'd be cute. See you tomorrow, Giant Slayer. Roman smiled as he gave his stunned brother a quick hug and fled out the door to catch up to the others. Logan tossed himself down on the couch, and in a very Roman-like moment of drama, he placed one of his hands on his chest to feel his beating heart out of control, and used the other to fan his face like he was a star actress.